I stand before you today to raise my voice for the Banyamulenge community in the Congo. I stand before you today to raise my voice for the Banyamulenge community in the Congo.
A great kingdom that existed in East Africa from the 14th century was founded by someone called Ruhinda. There were many myths by those who came to explore this region. None of them gave an accurate account of the timeline of this particular kingdom. They were trying to come up with a different myth to explain why this particular kingdom in East Africa was highly developed. Those who were trying to write that history, they did not write the history with the intent to give the correct account of this kingdom's story, but rather they wanted to find a way to divide it so as to conquer it later on. And indeed, they have managed to write the wrong history, which they reported back to their monarchies with the future goal to conquer East Africa. This kingdom was called the Kingdom of Karagwe, founded by Ruhinda, a man who had so much energy and vision that the surrounding kingdoms joined together with him. In today's modern history and modern borders, that kingdom stretched from Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, Congo, and unpopulated Rwanda and Burundi and beyond. The explorers from 19th century were using an ideology which led to the first mass murder in the region, particularly in Burundi and Rwanda. But they had made a first attempt of what they prepared to do in the future, and this was to wipe out a clan in 1905, getting rid of first of a warrior who had resisted the slave traders. I take this opportunity to pay tribute to that prince. This great prince, His Royal Highness Prince Machoncho, resisted the slave traders who invaded from Zanzibar. Indeed, his army was so resilient that the Germans and other Europeans who came in contact with him were curious to know what was his history. Let's go back to that history of explorers who arrived in the Kingdom of Karagwe. The Kingdom of Karagwe had interacted with an explorer called John Hanning Speke. He's the one that came up with the ideology of separating the people based on physical appearance and other ideology which were making way into the European continent. Karagwe Kingdom was the first kingdom that they explored in East Africa, and indeed it was because it was the largest kingdom in this region. They could not figure out how this kingdom was highly structured, and economically, politically, and socially. So they came out with a myth to claim that this kingdom had to be founded by people who came from ancient Kush and ancient Ethiopia, Aksum. This was because at the time, these ancient kingdoms of ancient Kush and ancient Ethiopia had resisted multiple invasion from foreign powers who at the time represented one of the strongest kingdoms that could just conquer any kingdom. So they made the claims that the structure of this particular kingdom in Karagwe had to be founded by either Egyptian or Ethiopians, which at the time combined all those territories. They could not believe that this kingdom had been founded by um, black Africans who were viewed as less intelligent at the time. Fast forward in 2025, many in the region are still following this ideology of Hamites versus the Bantu. It is on that basis that we have seen genocidal violence in the region, in the African Great Lakes. And I think it's really important that all of us really understand today's struggle from a historical point of view.
It's incredible, isn't it? The East Africa Kingdom realized its potential.
And it's wonderful to see how migrants from all over the globe have contributed to our success.
Absolutely. It's incredible, isn't it? The East Africa Kingdom realized its potential.
And it's wonderful to see how migrants from all over the globe have contributed to our success.
Absolutely.
CRISPR sequence aligned perfectly.
Cross-reference with the Zanzibar database.
We are ready for clinical trials by Tuesday. The CRISPR sequence aligned perfectly.
Cross-reference with the Zanzibar database.
We are ready for clinical trials by Tuesday. The CRISPR sequence.
I use those clips for us to really understand why it's important that we all understand that we are all interconnected. It is not merely a vision of wanting to be Pan-African, but it is because the Kingdom of East Africa was a family of many communities. And if you go around the region, from Tanzania to Kenya, to Burundi, to Rwanda, to Congo, to Uganda, to Kenya, you'll find that those people have common family, common ancestors. So it is right that we focus on what we can do to revive that union. The great Tanzania independence leader, Julius Nyerere, had come up with a plan with Burundi independence leader, Prince Rwanda, under the declaration known as Dar es Salaam Declaration. They sought to revive that former union which existed before the 1884 Berlin Conference. I talk about this because, of course, we know the problems of ethnic violence that we are seeing in the region is all based on identity and also colonial borders which has divided families between borders. Personally, there are people of my own family who have been wiped out and who are still being targeted in all those countries that I mentioned. The Banyamulenge, they are part of our family. The Hema, they are part of our family. And we cannot continue to pretend that everything is fine. We cannot continue to just admit that that's just because of colonial borders and we should be quiet about the violence that is unleashed on our people. We will not allow such a thing to be normalized. We will not allow mass violence to be more than normalized. We want a future, like in those clips, a future rebuilt as a people, a future rebuilt for the future of the entire region. We don't want a future built on tribalism or tribal identity. We are East Africans. We have existed from the beginning. We have existed for centuries, way, way before even other nations formed. It's incredible that our past ancestors were able to build so much with little access to technology. How much more us who have the opportunity to travel and to interact with other people? I pity anyone who promotes division between people or between nations. If we cannot practice union between ourselves, we cannot claim to be friends with the outside world. I'm very proud of my ancestors who founded the Kingdom of Burundi, my ancestors who founded the Kingdom of Rwanda, my ancestors who founded the Kingdom of Karagwe, my ancestors who founded the Kingdom of Makurian in today's Sudan, my ancestors who founded the Kingdom of the Tika community in Cameroon. Those people, their only ambition was to only think about ways to develop the people. It was never about stealing from their own land to go and stash the cash in foreign offshore accounts, which has been so normalized in today's republics across the African continent. We have lost our humanity. We have lost our sense of patriotism to look after each other. We have poured out of our humanity in other nations while our people suffer. It must stop. It must stop. And it starts with us. It starts within our families and then stretches out within the nation. We cannot allow violence and mediocrity in politics to continue.
Beneath the calm surface of Lake Kivu lies the key to Rwanda's future, a vast reserve of methane. Beneath the calm surface of Lake Kivu lies the key to Rwanda's future, a vast reserve of methane.
That is the future we want to build. And all of us, on our journey, we've endured some of the most horrific injustice that any people has endured. My own family was wiped out in 1905. They were among the first ones in East Africa to face genocidal violence. Those who survived fled to Tanzania, Congo, and Malawi. They were part of the early kingdoms, small kingdoms of Buha in today's Tanzania and Bungwe in pre-Burundi kingdom era. We stretched from southern Rwanda into Burundi all the way to Kayanza and Ngozi. Some of my family were victims of the slave trade. Some of my family were butchered in 1993. But there comes a time when we must be able to be determined to look at the future. Whatever compromise we have to make peace, we must be able to get to that goal for the sake of our children and our future grandchildren.
Manpower shortage is the major constraint to renewable energy. Manpower shortage is the major constraint to renewable energy.
When I was 12, my father introduced me to science, to physics, which was very, very passionate about. He introduced me to the first skills of computer science. And this was at the age of 12. I was learning most of these subjects in the French language. Earlier today, I was attending a meeting where mayors from across the globe sat around to discuss the theme of urban planning, smart city, thinking about the future. I listened to each of the panelists, and it reminded me about different topics. It reminded me about the work I used to do for US tech companies, seeing how they lacked certain skills, like language. They struggled to find people who could speak French and have tech skills at the same time. Fast forward all these years moving away from technology, I have seen as well the skills gap in the energy sector. And indeed, this is an area I've been researching close to a decade. I was talking to different governments, looking at ways that we can contribute as a private sector and researchers. These are the conversations we need to have. Whatever we have gone through, whatever struggle we have endured on our own path, we must sacrifice everything we have to ensure that the future generation and our children's generation have the best when all of us are no longer here. I leave you with that thought to think about what you can do as an individual to impact today's world and also tomorrow's world. What will be your impact in today's environment? What will be your legacy tomorrow? Think about that.
Look at what we have achieved together. The future is bright for the Great Lakes region. Look at what we have achieved together. The future is bright for the Great Lakes region.
I thank you.